Right, hello lads and lasses and welcome back to Boys Down Under, where today we are talking about everything that you guys need to know about Celtic's first ever match in over a month against Rennes. But before we go any further, if you guys are enjoying the content and you want to help support the channel, the very best way to do so is to click that like button and click that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, to get it out of the way, the scoreline, as we all know, Celtic went 4-3 down to Rennes in a behind closed doors friendly. All the goals were scored in the first half. Matt O'Reilly bagged a brace for Celtic and Kyogo with the other. So with the scoreline out of the way, let's get down to what really matters: who played and how they performed. So the starting lineup for the Hoops was Joe Hart, Anthony Ralston, Moritz Jens, Carl Starfelt, Greg Taylor, Ray Watate, Matt O'Reilly, Callum McGregor, Leo Labada, Kyogo, and Jota. So a starting lineup that, apart from maybe one or two names, looks likely to be the starting lineup against Aberdeen. You know, I might swap out Callum McGregor and bring him off the bench to stop him getting injured straight away. And I also would bring in, obviously, Cameron Carter-Vickers for either Jens or Starfelt. But back onto the main player we're looking at here is Callum McGregor, of course, El Capitan. His first match played for Celtic since way back on the 5th of October when he went off in Europe against RB Leipzig. He hasn't featured since the 5th of October, so that is pretty much the whole month of October, the whole month of November, and half the month of December. That's 2.5 months. That's a ludicrous amount of time out, but he's had enough time to recover, and hopefully with a couple of performances off the bench, he will be straight back into that starting lineup, ready for Derby Day. Also, I think many people would like to know, new boy Yuki Kobayashi got some minutes in, despite it only being him being with the team and training for a week now with the team. He got some minutes. He's trying to build up that match fitness again after having a mini off-season after the Japanese league finished. However, Yuki cannot actually play for Celtic until the earliest fixture after January the 1st, which is Derby Day, so we're going to have to wait until at least then to see him in action for Celtic in a competitive fixture, because obviously contracts don't get registered till the transfer window officially opens. Other players who came off the bench include Sigrist, Iraguchi, Abilgor, Bernabe, Turnbull, Forrest, Giakoumakis, and Haksabanovic. But that was not all. Two young lads in, Bosun Lawal and Rocco Vada, both got minutes. And obviously these two were the ones who also featured in the Sydney Super Cup, the two B team players, and are also the two who are most touted to get the first opportunity with the first team from the B team. So what is the time frame for that? I think a lot of people want to know when we will see them to get their official debuts for Celtic. I don't think it's going to happen in the near future. Well, it depends what you consider the near future, because what I consider the near future is in the next couple of weeks, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's much more realistic that we will see them in action in the 4th round of the Scottish Cup when Celtic host Greenock Morton. So watch this space for that clash. I'm sure Ange will 100% rotate the team for that fixture, because we have a lot of important fixtures coming up. Obviously, we can't drop points in the league. We have the derby at Ibrox. We also have the Scottish League Cup semi-final against Kilmarnock. So there's a lot of important fixtures coming up, and none of them seem right to breed these new faces into the team. But that Scottish Cup 4th round does certainly do. That is a new one for me in my weird, wacky phrases. Now, according to journos from the game, obviously I wasn't there and none of you were there because it happened in Portugal, and also at the same time wasn't televised anywhere. We only got to see the goals after the match occurred. But according to journos, with all goals being scored in the first half, the second half somehow managed to have many more chances in it, especially for Celtic, who allegedly dominated the second half with almost 75% possession, I read somewhere, with Rennes fielding a very defensive lineup and also a very defensive setup as well in the second half, maybe testing their capabilities on both attack and defense, which is fair enough for a mid-table team in Ligue 1, because they're going to have to come up against teams. They're going to have to absolutely attack against the lower teams and defend against teams like PSG with Kylian Mbappe, who is arguably the best player in the world right now. He is on fire, Mbappe. Anyways, looking at the match, still no fresh injuries came out of this match, which is a major positive. I know That's something a lot of people worried about. If we play too many matches, would we get any new injuries? And no, we didn't. So we can all have a sigh of relief there. And I'm sure that's because there might have been a gentleman's agreement in place, between Celtic and Rennes, between Ange and whoever the Rennes manager is, that not to kill each other on the pitch, because that is just stupid. Rennes, their season's back underway, I think, after Christmas, and Celtic, we're back in a mere matter of days. But as for Celtic, there is still players to return. Naturally, we have Cameron Carter-Vickers to return. We have Aaron Moy to return. We have Dyson Maeda to return, who was almost the hero for Japan, yet somehow is never for Celtic. It's a funny way football works, isn't it? And we also have Alistair Johnston to join the squad. He actually is in a similar boat to Yuki Kobayashi. He cannot feature until earliest Derby Day because of that January 1st contract registration opening, let's say. So Tony Ralston is going to have to fill in boots for quite a few matches consecutively. I don't know how Ange is going to manage Tony Ralston's fitness with that, because if Tony gets injured, we're absolutely stuffed. Going to have to bring in Bosun Lowell into right back, or we're going to have to, play a three back of Jens, Carter-Vickers, and... Oh, wait, no, we have Juranovic. See, I've already prepared for Juranovic to go. I've completely forgotten he's going to be in the squad. So we do have Juranovic. Not straight away, because obviously he is still with Croatia at the World Cup, but eventually, once the tournament ends, and whether they go to the final or not, and whether they win the final or not, we will see him back in action, I believe, before January 1st, and before, hopefully, he moves on to the Premier League. Fingers crossed he doesn't. He's a cracking player, but if a club comes in with 25 million plus, very hard to refuse. Now, speaking of transfers to the Premier League, the second half of this video is going to be talking about Georgios Giakoumakis, and reportedly him pushing for a Celtic exit. Now, firstly, the first stories that were breaking were that Celtic are ready to accept any offers of around £10 million for Giakoumakis, considering we pay £2.5 million for him. I think that's a fair deal. I think that's a fair trade. I don't think he is an absolute star. However, I'm not going to be hands up in the air, because I don't think he constitutes as much of a fee as someone like Juranovic does. Anyways, we've heard those stories, but now overnight it's been reported that Giakoumakis has switched agents to push for a Premier League move. Now, I love Giakoumakis, absolutely adore him. I think he's provided us with so many great memories, so many crucial wins as well. He's a top talent, Giakoumakis, but I can't see him starting at any Premier League club. Definitely a backup, but not start. Oh, look, I can't see him starting at any Premier League club that is going to stay up this season. I can see him starting at Nottingham. I can see him starting at Southampton, but that's pretty much it. And those two teams look like they're going down. I hate to say it, because Southampton, I have a sweet spot for them because of all the Celtic players who go there. Sweet spot, soft spot, same thing. But with Giakoumakis just turning 28 years old, I'm sure he feels and I'm sure he knows that this could be one of the very last opportunities he has in his career to switch to the Premier League, and also make an impact in the Premier League. Because he could go when he's 31, 32, but he won't have the same opportunities there to lock down a starting spot as he does now at 28 years old. And I'm sure he also knows if he waits 6 months and he goes in the off-season, a lot can happen there. A lot can happen. So we're going to have to wait and see and play this by ear, because if he goes in January, he's definitely going to get Premier League game time. But he could be going to a club that could be relegated at the end of this season and he'll be stuck in the Championship. Or he can hedge his bets, wait till the off-season, then head to the Premier League so he can get at least a full season in the Premier League to satisfy his career. Because it's really a coin flip, and I'm sure that's why he's changed agents, to try and, if he has changed agents, he clearly doesn't believe his old one, his former one now, was doing the best things for him. So maybe he's wanting to stay, maybe he's wanting to go. There's been these contract negotiations. It's all a bit it's all a bit of a mess, I can't lie, but it's not as much of a mess that it's affecting the club, it's affecting the player. I don't see an issue with it, as if he can get his move away, I'd let him go for £10 million. I think that's a fair deal. But Juranovic, 25 million plus. If he gets to the World Cup final, 50 million plus, and I think that's a fair price tag. But that is all from me. So if you guys did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave in the comments below your thoughts on the bounce match, friendly, and also the Giakoumakis situation. But until next time, hail, hail.